and a bit unsettling.
Today's video was gonna be about Hogwarts Legacy and how much I enjoyed the game, how much I appreciate it, how much it made me feel like a child again, but honestly, I just couldn't bring myself to finish the game. And I had no idea why, because I'm really not the type of person who starts video games and don't finish them. So it made me wonder what's wrong with this game when it's plot-wise and build-wise. It's really similar to other open world games, but what's specifically bad about this game that made me just not want to finish it? And I think I realized why, and I think I can prove it through Dying Light 2, one of my favorite games from last year. So if you're interested in it, that's what we're gonna be discussing today. Welcome to the channel, I'm Ganyan, thank you for stopping by, and let's get into it. First of all, let me just say I love Harry Potter, I grew up with it, okay? I'm 23, so it came out at the perfect time for me. I am a Harry Potter kid. So I was really excited for this game because I really love the series. I just finished the marathon for the movies last week. I watched all movies back to back in a couple of days. So I'm really into the Harry Potter world, so I was really excited for this game, like I said, and it really surprised me the fact that I've been playing it for over a month and I just can't bring myself to finish it. And it really was disappointing for me when I realized how the open world is built, especially compared to other games I've been playing lately, especially Dying Light 2. I made a video about that game, so if you're interested in it, check it out, it's on the channel. But mainly the big reason that I love Dying Light 2 more than Hogwarts Legacy is the gameplay. The open world is built in a different way. It has more activities and different activities. And when it comes to video games, I mean, that's what we are here for, no? To play the game, to enjoy the game, to immerse ourselves in the gameplay. And that specifically is what Hogwarts Legacy really screws up. So before you even think about arguing story-wise, I'm not here for that. I'm not even gonna mention the story of the game. You can think whatever you want about it. That's not my problem with the game. My problem is purely gameplay stuff. And I think I can break it down into three specific areas that I think Hogwarts Legacy really messes up, like I said. The fighting, the combat, the second one is the open world, and the third one is the 30-second rule that open world games use. Combat-wise, my issue with it can be broken down really simply into just not enough variety. There's not enough enemies, not enough spells, not enough combat options, not enough skills. That's a big problem with the game. After like 10 hours into the game, you already met all the enemy types. And that's really not okay. I mean, I don't know if you think otherwise, be sure to tell me in the comments, but 10 hours into the game and already seeing every enemy you're gonna fight, I think that's not okay. Because it makes the game way more boring, it means that there is not gonna be variety after 10 hours of gameplay, and it means the game is very lacking, enemy-wise. There's just not enough enemies to fight, and even the enemies that there are to fight, there is not enough variety in them. There's only like 4 types of every enemy. Animals, there's only 2 types. So combat is really boring after a while. After you've seen the first couple of variations of enemies, it really gets boring and it's just the same. And there's no difficulty in it whatsoever. The only difficulty is that the enemies can hit harder if you set the difficulty level to higher. But other than that, there is no strategy. You can just build your character in specific ways or approach situations in specific ways. It's gonna be the same no matter what difficulty you play, no matter what enemies you fight, no matter what location you're in. Combat is the same throughout the whole game and there's no variety in it. And I think that's the biggest issue, even bigger than the other 2 issues that I have with the game. If the game had more variety of enemies and more difficult encounters, I could forgive the other problems, but this really does it for me. Now you compare that to Dying Light 2, which has very few enemy types, even less than Hogwarts Legacy, but the strong suit of the game is the locations and the encounters they put these enemies in. Enemies differ when you fight them in daytime or nighttime, that's one thing. Second thing is that the fighting itself is satisfying. In Hogwarts Legacy it's fun to shoot spells, but it's not fun to fight enemies because it's just the same thing. In Dying Light 2, each enemy needs a different approach, each special infected needs a different approach, they have different health values, they fight in a different way, some of them are too strong and you just have to escape. So that's where the combat variety comes from in Dying Light 2. It's not from enemy variety, it's from combat location and encounter variety. And the problem with Hogwarts Legacy is that it doesn't have either. It doesn't have encounter variety or enemy variety. So that's my main issue with it. Now moving on to my second complaint about Hogwarts Legacy, and it's the open world. Hogwarts and Hogsmeade are special, unique, we all love them. I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about the world around it. It feels the same, it's just green hills with goblins and monster hunters. It's not varied. There's no unique locations that I remember. Stuff like in Elden Ring when you get to the Altus Plateau. There's nothing like that. It just looks the same throughout the whole game unless you're in Hogwarts or Hogsmeade. And again, if you look at Dying Light, and you compare that to Hogwarts Legacy, even though Villador is very much filled with the same buildings over and over and over, it has a lot of copy and paste buildings, but at least it feels unique. It feels like every variance, every area of the game is different. Every district feels different and it looks a little different. There's not enough variety compared to games like The Witcher 3, but compared to Hogwarts Legacy, it's different, totally different level. Every location and every district feels different and it has different building types in it. And it's enough that there's Villador and Old Villador. That's already a big difference in the game. But in Hogwarts Legacy, sadly, you can't see that. In Dying Light 2, you move through different locations with different views, so you feel like you're progressing through an area. You feel like it's a lived in place. In Hogwarts, that's my second issue with it, is that the whole open world just feels like the same green hill that I've seen a million times in the game already. And moving on to the last complaint, it's a 30-second rule in Hogwarts Legacy. It doesn't feel like they worked it good in this game. If you don't know, the 30-second rule in open world games basically says that something has to happen every 30 seconds in order to keep the game interesting. I'm not a game developer, I don't know that much about it, I just know that it's a rule that game developers use, and you can see it reflected in every type of open world game. And in Hogwarts Legacy, I feel like they do use it because every 30 seconds or so when you walk around in the open world, even less, I'd say it's like 20 seconds, you find something. But the problem is that the stuff you find just isn't satisfying. There's a million Merlin trials, which all are the same. There's like 5 variations, and you just keep going over the same ones over again. And there's like a couple of caves that all are also the same. You go in, you solve a little puzzle that a 5-year-old baby can solve, and it's just the same thing. Or you find a camp of enemies that, like I said, combat isn't too varied, so it's not anything new. So basically, even though you do see something new every 20 seconds, the stuff you see just isn't worth it. It feels like the game is just throwing things at me for no reason. It feels like I find the Merlin trial just for the sake of finding a trial, just for the sake of having something there, not because it's actually fun to do, or fun progression-wise, or it has a reason to be there in the game, story-wise. It just feels like they followed the rule blindly and they didn't implement it in the right way. Again, like I said, I'm not a game developer, so I'm not perfect at this. I'm just talking as a fan, as someone who knows about this thing, and just see it reflected in games. Now in this specific area, I can't praise Dying Light 2 too much because honestly it's not doing so good in it either, but at least the parkour is fun in Dying Light 2, so moving through the world in these 30 seconds increments is fun. It feels like you're doing something fun, because you're parkouring everywhere, you're fighting enemies on the way there, wherever you're going. So I think Dying Light 2 also does a better job with the 30-second rule, since it's fun to go through the world. Which is also another problem that I think Hogwarts Legacy doesn't do so well. It feels boring to move through the world. Even though you have many ways to do so, you have a broom, you have animals, you can just walk, but it still feels kinda like autopilot. In Dying Light 2, the parkour really emphasizes how fun it is to move through the world, and it really makes you interact with every stone in this world. And I think that's really something that Techland nailed with Dying Light 2. And I think Hogwarts Legacy has a lot to learn from it. But as you see, all of my complaints in Hogwarts Legacy boil down to gameplay stuff. So I still love the game, I love the location of it, I love the Harry Potter world, but it's really a shame how they built the open world. And diving into it like this, understanding why I don't want to finish the game, really made me see the issues with it. because otherwise the game is great, it looks good, it sounds good, it feels good to play, it's really fun to shoot with the magic stuff. But these three problems really bring the game down for me. And you can see the bias in the gaming community that something just because it's called Harry Potter, it gets all the love in the world, but something like Dying Light 2 doesn't get any, even though it excels in areas like this gameplay wise, just because the story of it isn't so good. Which, on that point, I love the story of Dying Light 2, you can fight me on that. But at the end of the day, I love both games, I enjoy playing both games, and I think eventually I will finish Hogwarts Legacy. And when I do, if you're interested in a review, let me know down in the comments. Also, if you're interested in other open world games, I have many on the channel. My channel is all about just having chill discussions about open world games. So if you're into that, be sure to check to the channel, subscribe maybe if you do enjoy it. And as always, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a nice day.